Kyle, thank you so much for joining me. You are my first guest on Meta or Miss. Thank you so much. For those who have been living in a cave or who do not subscribe to any of the greater good, this is Kyle. Kyle is the #1 player in the world at the moment for Tau and 18th overall in the UK. And I was going to say primarily, it's solely playing Tau, isn't it?
Yes, it's solely playing Tau. I was originally a classic fantasy player, and when that all died of death, I decided to switch over to my other love, which was 40k. But the way I got into 40k was simply just by not wanting to do a combat army. I wanted purely just an army that was shooting, and some guy at GW went, "Why don't you do Tau? It's got some robots and it only does shooting." So I was sold straight away. So, 15 years old, had a Tau army, and I've just played it ever since.
So to anyone who loses to Kyle, they need to find out who this GW employee is and be like, listen, you ruined my undefeated record at the LGT because I got beat by Kyle.
Pretty much, man, pretty much. But yeah, thanks for having me on. It's obviously, I'm not going to lie, I'm happy with the results from the season. Like, I set myself a goal, which is I wanted to be top Tau after the last season. I came 5th, and I wanted to be, like I said, in top 20 in the UK, and I wanted to be in the top 100 in the world. And I think I finished 57th in the world, like I said, 18th in the UK, and that was with what's classed as a trash tier army. So what fueled me? Simply, I got told I can't do it, so I did it.
So how many times were you going to tournaments and players were not knowing your name and they were, oh, you're playing Tau, and then you kind of saw that little bit of arrogance or that little bit of complacency, and then you're like, hey, by the way, you're dead. I've won this. I've won this. You get a participation trophy. How often do you think that happened?
So obviously, in fairness to my opponents, especially in the UK, because it's very... it's a shark fest on most of the majors that we go to, so everybody knows everybody. So everybody knew that, that's Kyle, he plays Tau. But in kind of answer to your question about the, not arrogance, but kind of a little bit of a disillusioned state of, wait, you're taking Tau? Why? And there's a lot of gotcha moments in the old Codex, but I don't mean that in terms of I was deliberately using those gotcha moments. I would tell my opponent at the beginning, look, this is what the army does, this is its capability, be under no illusion that it's trash, because it's one of those armies that if played well, it can really pay off. So it's okay an opponent telling you that, but when you see it actually on the tabletop, most people are like, wow, oh, okay, it's a serious force. So I wasn't tailoring, I wasn't submarining, I was just going gung-ho and just crossing my fingers, hope that I didn't go against something that would just wipe the floor with me.
That's it. And you don't get to, it isn't, I want to win this one event. It's, I want to be the #1 player for Tau. I want to be top 20 in the UK. To do that, you can't, you've got to be getting those top place finishes, and that's what you were doing.
And I think the Nottingham one was a real clutch moment, because when I worked out the points, I'm competitive. I was looking at William Albiez, who was 2nd, and I was like, he's going to LVO. I know he's going to LVO. And if he does well and goes like 5-1 or 4-2, and he's done some impressive results, I was like, he could beat me here. And I'm not going to LVO. So the fact that, like, Nottingham, I did that, I was like, get him.
I put myself in a good place.
And then obviously at that weekend of LBR, I was checking all the results, going, come on.
He's got Manny Chima, then he's got Nick Naravati.
Oh man, awesome.
So no, it was good. And what was really nice, and this is the humbling part of the community that I really love, is that Zach, who organises the big tournaments like LGT, Leicester, all the majors that are going on in the UK, actually created a Kyle Grundy award. Which was it was designed to give a trophy and recognition to people using an underpowered army but overperforming. And I didn't know this was happening, but then he announced it in Nottingham, and then when it's not a fix, but Kyle Grundy's won his own award.
It kind of makes sense that you win your own award at least the first year.
he gave me a lot of chaos stuff, which was cute, I suppose. And I was like, that's great. No. Yeah.
I'll take some Pathfinders.
So I can't win that award again because we're going to come on to it, but we've got a beautiful Codex. And it's not underpowered anymore.
Yeah, and those problems with like invulnerable saves, like you were talking about, there are some ways around them.
Rid of them, yeah. So no, it was really good to represent a faction, and there's plenty of them still out there. I'm not looking at any particular, you know, maybe an army that only has 1 wound when our shield drones have 2. Sorry, Chaos players. And then also you've got Guard and a few other armies that are really dying and waiting for a new codex. And it was good to have that level of communication with these players that say, no, it's impressive what you're doing. Tell me what you're doing, because we're also using an underpowered faction. So it's good to stand up for the little guys in this forever changing, aggressive meta.
It's absolutely fantastic. Like I moved away, and I kind of really dislike that I went and did. Don't get me wrong, I love my Space Vikings and my Space Mongol Horde that went forward and did some conquering. But I envy you, and I definitely look up to say, like, stuck with your guns, and we're like, I'm gonna figure this out.
Quite literally
stuck with your guns. But the new codex, it has arrived. It is here. This is really good. I think that it may be a step too far, and we can talk about some of the things I think are maybe too good. Spoiler, I don't think the Storm Surge and that kind of stuff is too good. I think they're good, but I think some of the stratagems in this book are a little bit too powerful. Going forwards, are you going to stay with Farsight Enclave?
Yes, I've got 2 lists. Well, there's 2 factions.
We'll keep it. You know, we don't have to tell me all your secrets, because I'm going to be trying to compete with you. But
there's an aggressive brand new codex, Farsight Enclaves that I'm going to go with, and then I've got planned a Tau set reactive list for when people start to react to the aggressiveness of the Montcar and the Farsight Enclaves. So I've got effectively 1 philosophy first, Montcar, and then a reserved Kion for later.
So you're already planning out your 2022 expanse, and you're like, okay, in the first wave, I'm going to be like, turn 1, you're going to have a bad day. And then when they start to really do that, you're like, okay, I hope you enjoy Carry On, because Commander Shadowson's here. I'm slightly different. I'm Borkhan. I really like some of the tricks that Borkhan can bring, but I'm sure you're going to talk me out of them, and I'm going to listen, because you clearly know what you're talking about. Meta or Miss, where we get a bit of an expert in any of the books to come out, talk to us about what we can see in these books. Is it meta? Are we going to see loads of it? Is it going to be what's going to be defining tournaments? Or do you think it misses that mark a little bit? And do you think it's going to not live up to the hype, or just not be as good? So I've got a couple of standouts that I want to go through, and then we can take some time to go through the book. So I've got a couple of little ones. So the first one I have, and I think it was the first thing spoiled, and everyone wanted to talk about it. Everyone said it was the most broken thing in the world. My salt-powered robots immediately started to stand up. The Hammerhead. 155 points if you take it with SMS and the railgun. Obviously, movement 12, BS4, T7, 14 wounds, and just that railgun that is the most powerful gun in the game. Does that get the Kyle meta or miss?
I've got 4 of them, and they're still collecting dust, and they will stay in the box. It's a miss.
It's a miss. Explain to me why you think that that's not going to be as big as people think.
Okay, so before I do it, the long strike and bodyguard shenanigans, I'm looking at you players that are using it. Stop it. It's not meant to happen. It's not as intended. It's going to get FAQ'd, and I already know of tournament organisers that are saying no to it, and rightfully so.
Oh, definitely.
So the problem is that when it came out, I looked at it and thought, nice. Great. I reckon the Storm Surge is going to be damage 12. And guess what? But the reason it's a miss for me is that it's one shot, yes, with a reroll. It's just not good competitively. You need quantity of high damage shots, not just you can't rely on a single shot giving you points or winning you games. It's just not how this game's evolving to. You need to have redundancies built in, and it's also, it comes out, it shoots, and then if it doesn't, it dies. Simple as that. So it's a miss from me, a complete and utter fat miss. I like it in theory. It might be good for your fun competitive game, your fun little...
I was going to say, playing fun competitive, here's a Hammerhead, but...
No, it's a miss. It's a miss. What do you think?
Yeah, I've played a couple of games now with a friend of mine who's been on the channel a couple of times, Baz, and it just... If you don't hit things and it's still BS4, and there are lots of ways to get minuses, so even with your +1s, it's still going to be BS4. It just doesn't hit. It's just, it is terrifying, and it can be really good. But those top tier competitive players are just going to be like, yeah, bring it on. I can get around it. So that gets a miss.
It's a miss, but I will say one thing. I absolutely love the Hammerhead's existence for one thing. That just existing in itself has changed the meta.
Yeah.
So Hammerhead comes along, GW do the little preview. Oh my god, it's doing D6 +3
plus D3. D6 plus D3 plus 3 mortals.
+3. Every Space Marine player that was taking Contempt to Dreadnoughts went, okay, I'll remove those. So the Hammerhead existing has put those Crusher Stampede lists, the Space Marine Contempt to Dreadnoughts lists in the bin. And you know what? I thought, great. I don't have to worry about them anymore, but I don't have to take a Hammerhead.
Yeah,
because
it's great.
Any will not take a list that if they go into Tau, and the likelihood is you're going to go into Tau at a tournament, it doesn't want to give it the option to be removed immediately. So that for me, thanks Hammerhead for existing, but I'm still not going to take you.
I'm going to take some. We'll talk about some of the other things in the heavy detachment slot. I think there are some better choices. The next one I want to talk to you about, and I personally love this one, but I'm just going to give it my pet. It's the 2 or 3 Devilfish with 2 or 3 units of breachers. So if you take 3 Devilfish and 3 lots of breachers, with SMS across all the Devilfish, it comes in at 600 points. So it's not cheap. It's not cheap. It's over a quarter of your army. But does that and if you were looking at Monkar, because you have to pair it with Monkar to get all the turn 1 movement, disembarkations, is that a hit or a miss for you?
It's a hit, and it still will be a hit when they inevitably balance data sheet it and make it more CP. It's still a hit. And what we should probably do as well is talk a little bit about not just how it works, but why it's so strong.
Oh, definitely.
So in the past, your Devilfish, you can get out of it, and then your Devilfish can move, but you can't move and get out. Now, the only time that's ever been available to do, I think, was in way back with formations, that you could move your Devilfish in and do it there.
Fish of Fury.
That extra extension, that range in terms of movement shenanigans, and then being able to shoot. So for 1 CP, it's called Combat Debarkation. So if you selected the Monkar Tactical Philosophy at the start of the battle round, and is the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, select up to 3 Devilfish. You can do the same for Kion, put it around turn 3, 4, and 5. Until the end of the movement phase, each time one of those models makes a normal move after it has moved, any units embarked within that transport can then disembark, but they can't charge that turn.
Yeah.
So paint a picture, Devilfish on the deployment line, pre-game move 9, because it's got armored aggression built into its data sheet. Then move 12, so you're already on 21 inches. Okay?
Then get out 3.
Then they can move 6, and shoot without penalty because of Monk Car. Well, no, they can shoot. If they advance, they can't benefit from Monk Car because they are in the Devilfish. It's actually part of their FAQ. But still, if you calculate that, that's 30 turn 1.
Yeah. You just dropped out by saying it's 30 inches turn 1 with 3 of these things. They eat, a 10-man squad of breaches, because it's got to be 10 mans. You get 20 shots of them. You can get re-rolls from the Devilfish if you want, if they're not so far up. You can get, captain re-rolls against one, like re-roll ones against one unit. You can get additional AP. And this is when it's a massive hit. And I think if there weren't as many stratagems, it would be a bit of a cusp one. It would be one of those, it's okay, but it's not great, but I can see what they were thinking. The fact that there is a stratagem to ignore cover, and have full wounds rerolls. There's stratagems to get additional minuses if 2 units fire at the same thing. I think someone theory crafted, you can get breaches up to -6. Re-rolling 1s, hitting on 3s with full rerolls to wounds at strength 6, damage 1. It's just like that's a lot of power. But the problems with that is they don't stay. So they are amazing. They go up, they shoot, they kill whatever they wanted to touch, and then you have 10 toughness 3 dudes standing behind or next to a Devilfish going, okay, please stop.
I will give a little secret, free of charge, to people on how you can make this even spicier. So you're going to want to try and get them always within their 8-inch profile, because that's where they get the extra AP and the extra strength. But knowing that you can actually do full rerolls, and you can also extend the AP through strats like you've mentioned, if you take a Cadra Fireblade, then all of their breaches within 6 do exploding 6s for hitting. And if you're within 6 inches of a Devilfish, they get reroll 1s. But if you play it correctly, you can actually charge your Devilfish, leave a model or 2 alive from the units you're shooting, charge your Devilfish, and the Devilfish are in front. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's not going to stop your opponent from shooting your breaches off. Well, there's a couple of defensive things you can do. One, you can give them each a Guardian drone to give them mini transhumans, so they can't be winning on 1s to 3s, 1s and 2s. But you can take a relic on a Cadra Fireblade called the Multi. I think it's called the Multi. Let me find it. It's really spicy, and I want to get the name right.
I am learning. I'll tell you now. I'm learning something already.
So it's called the Multi-Sensory Discouragement Array. So you put it on a Cadra Fireblade, and he picks a unit within 12 at the end of the movement. And if you roll 3d6 and it's above their leadership, you can choose one of the following. The selected unit loses objective secured, half the move characteristics of models in that unit and half the charge rolls, or each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, it can only target the closest eligible target. And if you've just parked 2 Devilfish in front of them by charging those 1 or 2 models that you've left alive, suddenly your breaches can't be shot by one unit, obviously. But if you've timed your attacks correctly, you'll have deleted quite a lot of their units anyway. So the only units that are going to come in from will be something that they can't shoot behind you. So there's ways around it, and there's jank that you can do that we didn't have in the old Codex. So there's lots of different plays that you can do to keep those breaches alive a little bit longer. And remember, they are important because they're your OBSEC troops.
Yeah. So I think we're going to be seeing, at least initially, lots of Devilfish.
2 to 3 in every list.
Yeah. So the list I've been trying has had 2, but that's because I was trying to see if the Hammerhead worked. I haven't liked the Hammerhead, so I'm going to take my Hammerhead out. And guess what? Another Devilfish and some more units pretty much go into that almost this, at not too much a cost. Another thing I want to get your, opinion on is because of all of this, like saying, we went from having at a 30 to 50 player tournament, you would maybe have 2 tower players. Okay.
Yeah.
2 people that this is what I play or this is what I'm going to run. Now, I know a friend of mine's going to a tournament in the next week or so. There are 14 or 40 people playing Tau, and you know that this is what they're going to be doing. So how... I personally think a massive way to stop this is stealth suits or, Pathfinders from the Tau Codex at least. That's my biggest way. I played a game recently with Pathfinders. For me, they are meta as anything. I think they're great. 105 points. If you take 3 rail rifles, you always take 5 points for a rail rifle, which I think is a steal. So you get 7 marker lights. They've got loads of play with them, and that pre-game move, you can give someone -2 to charge with photon grenades. You can give someone -4 to charge if they want to charge the Pathfinders. You get that grav inhibitor drone, then a little bit of little photon grenades. Enjoy your -4 charge. But I know you've gone even deeper on Pathfinders, and you've figured out some more ways to use them.
Yeah. So there is what you mentioned, making charges practically impossible. You can even shove them in woods if you want for an extra -2.
Oh.
Enjoy your -6 charge.
Yeah. But the way I will use them, I've got a bit more kind of reserved. I've not given them the extra guns because simply my list cannot afford to. Otherwise, I 100% would give them those extra guns. But Recon Sweep is a stratagem for 1 CP that you can target the enemy. You do your normal marker lights, and any further marker lights that hit them, I think, will do it on a 2+. But then they can make a normal move afterwards. So if you time this well and you know that you're going first, you have your pre-game move 7, then you move 7, you've already moved your Devilfish and got out your breaches to do the attack. And then what you can do is you can make a normal move after spending the Recon Sweep, after your marker lights, and then go into the Devilfish because it's a normal move. So effectively, get your benefits of your marker light, your breaches have got out the Devilfish to do their damage, then the Pathfinders have got in. Now, the reason this is important is because one of the secondaries that you should be taking with Tau is R&D, which used to be Rod, so it's now Retrieve Maximum Data.
Yeah.
Having Pathfinders inside a Devilfish means that they get to move 10, so they can easily get past that 6-inch line of that quarter. So you have a Devilfish neatly placed so that they get out 3, move 7. So as long as they're, within 1 inch of that, well, as long as the Devilfish is within 2 inches or 3 inches of the table quarter, they can just get out and do Rod in the next turn.
And they're protected. There are lots of ways you can protect them, and
or let's just talk about the basics. You can just do your marker lights and then fire and fade behind obscuring or behind any kind of terrain.
The fact that there are 2 ways in this book to fire and fade, which brings me on to my next meta or miss. Meta or miss, and I know you love them already because you had 9 of them in your previous lists, but meta or miss crisis suits.
Meta, and the same with bodyguards for now.
You think
so? Crisis suits. Talk about the main bread and butter first. Everybody loves them. If you got into Tau for another reason, please let me know, because I've not heard of a Tau player ever go, I hate crisis suits.
Who wants these amazing things dropping from sky with plasma rifles that are now terrifying, which is awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about the changes. So in the old Codex, you could take big units of 9. Now you can't. It's minimum 3, maximum 6. But bodyguards are minimum 2. So they've gone up to movement 10 rather than movement 8. They're still weapon skill trash, weapon skill 5, and the BS4 Strength 5 T5s, but they've gone up to 4 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, which is an increase. They used to be leadership 7, and the team leader used to be leadership 8. Now the team leader gets your traditional extra attack, so he's 4 attacks and leadership 9, and you've got a 3-up save. Pretty standard. So what's changed is that they've basically been allowed to take extra guns and support system, or a mixture of whatever you want. So Crisis suits, you could literally put 3 guns on them and a support system, and most of the support systems are free, apart from shield generator, which is 5 points, just cheap as chips for a 4-up invuln.
For it's so good. The fact that you can give, I think they're really good. I wasn't so sure about them because I know that I thought there's loads of other stuff in the book, and I thought, look, let me trial them because the first 3 games when you get a brand new codex, you're trialing everything. Like you're trying try. Let me see what it feels like because I know what it looks like on paper, but let me see what it feels like in game. And the fact, so there is a stratagem which is strike and fade. There will actually be the proper stratagem name up. For 1 CP, as long as it is the first unit that fires in the shooting phase, any battle suit, a crisis suit unit can shoot, jump. I think it's a jump out unit can come out, shoot, and then make a 6-inch move, which is just insane. Like, let me just step out from behind this cover. Loads of my guns have got like range 30, all of this, strength 8, -3, all of this loveliness. I'll kill whatever I want to kill. And then I'm just going to pop behind into this cover because I'm infantry. So I'm going to have a 2-up save. Or if I've got the Iridium battle suit, I'm going to have a 1-up save. I've got 4-up invuns. And you're going to have to shoot me. Even when you're playing, funnily enough, I think the worst matchup for Tau is now Tau, because it's the only person that's going to have enough non-line of sight shooting to dig you out of these holes.
Tau, you're right. I mean, the 2 matchups that are going to be difficult for Tau is the mirror match, and I think a combination
at least
of
one
really
person's going to win. The mirror match is going to have at least a 50% win rate. That's because someone has to win that mirror match.
Well, this is the thing, right? So that relic that I talked about with the only shoot the closest one, that relic will be the perfect one to take to prepare for the Tau mirror match.
Yeah.
And also Custodes and GSC, I think us 3 armies are going to be quite worrying to go against each other. Because there's lots of mechanics that have been replicated, or the power level of these 3 armies are on par with each other. But like you said, the crisis suits, the stratagems, the strike and fade, it's called. You're obviously if you want my honest opinion and my advice to you for list building, take units of 5, not 6, because it costs you 1 CP rather than 2 CP to fire and fade. CP management with these new armies is the crux of being a good player, or I'm sorry to say, a crap player. If you want to blow all your CP and you find that, if only I had that 1 extra CP to do this, it would have won me the game, then I'm sorry, you should have made a sacrifice earlier on. You need to be smart. You need to manage your CP in terms of when you're going to use them, how you're going to use them, and why you're going to use them. So strike and fade, for me, is a must. Every turn you will be using it. So why pay 2 when you can pay 1? So just take 5 crisis suits. If you really want more crisis suits, take 2 units of 5. I might be taking 2 units of 5.
No, I don't believe it.
So the guns, in terms of the crisis suits loadouts, that's what everybody wants to know. I'll tell you right now, Siegler's already told you one side of it, and I agree. The plasma rifle, the cyclic iron blaster, and the fusion. The reason for this is simply because, look, why would you have multiple guns at different ranges? It counteracts what you want to do. 18-inch fusion, 18-inch cyclic iron blaster, and then you do your plasma rifle because they're awesome. Strength 8, assault 1, 30-inch range, 3 damage, strength 8. Thank you very much. So you take that as your aggressive loadout for Farsight, because you'll drop in, you'll spend the stratagem, drop zone clear, which is full rerolls.
Yep.
Reroll hits, reroll wounds, happy days, get dead, son. That's pretty much it.
That's it.
The other loadout, Tau are the king of indirect fire until Eldar come out apparently with these horrendous artillery pieces. But Tau SMS airbursts. So your other unit, I've got a unit 5 with in total 12 airbursts, one of them being the special relic one. The special.
This gun is so obnoxious.
It's obnoxious and it's lovely because it can be combined with a really good stratagem as well. And let me tell you about it.
Every single time you kill someone, counters 2 for your morale. Oh, and If I hit you, so for those who don't know, the prototype system is quite interesting. Your sergeant, it's called something, but effectively your sergeant in a squad can replace a gun with a prototype system. You can only have one of them, but you know, it's like mini relics. So like we've seen in a lot of other codexes, I think it's a great thing by GW. I really like it. It gives a bit more fluff and a bit more characterization. The one for the Tau's airburst fragmentation, I want to make sure I get the name of this right, is maybe one of the most obnoxious guns I've seen in a while. So it is the Dominator Fragmentation Launcher, and it lives up to the name. 24-inch range, assault d6, blast, strength 5, -2, 1 damage. And you think, okay, that's all right, and it can shoot without line of sight. You think that's okay. And then you read the special rule, which is if you ever get a hit, and you're laughing already, if you ever get a hit with this gun, -4 to that opponent's leadership. I had to play a game where we had to find out if you have to take leadership even if you don't die. Luckily, for all non-Tau players out there, yes, we have to kill at least one thing. We can't just be like, you get -4 to your leadership and I didn't kill anyone. But this gun is nuts. It's so good. It means...
And it's 25 points.
Yeah, I think completely reasonable for the points. And you would, as a fellow Tau player, you would completely agree. I think it's not undercosted really badly. But yeah, it just means that when you're digging people out of these, and when I said, you know, pulling people out of cover who've got really good saves, like Terminators and all this kind of stuff, you kill a Terminator, you know, which isn't impossible when you're going to be ignoring cover because you get your signature system for free. So you're going to have your guys ignoring cover, and you're going to be at -1, and you're just going to be hopefully digging these guys out, and then you'll be like, oh, by the way, if any of you die, those Terminators are going to fail morale because, you know, you're going to stack if I ever kill a model, counts as 2, and you got -4 to your leadership, it's just going to be really good.
Well, it's mad because, like, I'm in a Team England chat group because I was in the top 16, like the final cut for Team England, and I was chatting with a guy that you'll know through Vanguard Tactics called Michael Costello, Deathwatch player, really good player. Having a chat, and I was like, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm doing airburst, and he was like, oh, what, they ignore cover? That's not really going to come in very handy, though, is it? It's sort of along those lines of, isn't there a better system to take? I was like, yeah, you would say that with your Deathwatch Terminator and a mixed unit sat in cover with a 0+ save, and he went, yeah, fair enough, you got me there. So taking target lock allows you to ignore cover, cover. So shoot them, stack up your buffs, and then go, okay, cool. Your big unit of 10 has lost 3 dudes. I can spend a CP to make that 6 dudes. And your -4 leadership. So you now Marines are going to potentially leadership 4 or 5 if the Sergeant's leadership 9. Yeah, perfect. You could even, if you really pull it off, kill 2 models in a Custode bike unit and make another bike run away. And as you know, if you're a Custodes player, everything's expensive. So being able to pull off those shenanigans, hence why they gave Custodes high leadership, because they're such a small army. Man, this one's an auto taking airbursts.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm running it as an addition to my come in and kill you, like the plasma stuff. But the more I play with crisis suits, the more I want another unit, because they can do R&D. You know, they're infantry. They're, you know, this isn't going well, but they're core and they're infantry and they're sitting next to this Ethereal. And what does this Ethereal do? Oh, well, he gets to make you not have to fail actions. Oh, it's effective, isn't it? I guess I'll just do that.
Ethereal, mate. I think they're the prophets of lies. Yeah. I'm Farsight all the way, man.
I love the Ethereal, and I will, if I eventually go over to Farsight, which it is on the cast, like you're saying, there are some very interesting things you can do. That is the thing I will miss the most, because for 60 points, the Ethereal is a massively, massively good HQ choice. 60 points, you give him the Relic, which means he gets to know 2 invocations. I do 2 of them. Yeah, 2 of them on 2s, One of them, you just make it so you always get an additional CP, because who doesn't like 2 CP a turn? You can get 3 if you're going to have the one that when you roll it on a 3+, you get your CP back. So, hey, Tau, all these great stratagems, you know, running out of CP with Tau will be an interesting choice. But, you know, you can give your broadsides 5 up, feel no pains. And I hear broadsides are pretty good.
Yes. Just before I go into broadside, because that's the one that I was going to talk about as well,
Cool.
is that there's something when I was doing a chat about Ethereals, there's an interesting interaction with one of the Ethereals abilities with Montcar, and it's a topic for discussion. Zephyr's Grace. If this invocation is inspiring, select one friendly Tau Empire core unit, excluding Farsight Enclave units, within 6 inches of this ethereal. Each time a ranged attack is made against that unit, if it did not remain stationary in your previous movement phase, subtract 1 from the attacker's hit roll. But Montcar says you remain stationary, or you count as remaining stationary.
Oh, so that's one of those rules is written as rules is intended, isn't it? It's clearly
This book is full of them.
Yes, there are, and it's interesting with that one as well, because you cannot take. It's the most recent FAQ they did, the data sheet, where they were like, we're going to make armies easier for people to understand. And I've been to tournaments where it's like you're playing against orcs, and it's like, hey, these guys are bad moons, and these guys are goths, and you're halfway through a game, you're like, I thought they were bad moons. It's like, no, they're goths. It's like, I completely forgot that, or you know, these guys are Mars, these guys are this. Whereas now you obviously have to be all from the same, you know, the same place. It means this book was written before they knew they were going to do that, because you cannot physically take an Ethereal in a Farsight Enclave now. So interesting to know when they were writing these books, when they're getting these FAQs out. But
They messed it up though, because you can. You can take an Ethereal.
How can you take an Ethereal?
A Farsight Enclave's allied sept world. You just lose your ability to take 2 commanders per detachment, but you still get all the buffs of the sept and the stratagem.
Okay, that might be a little... Okay, if you want to lose a commander and get an Ethereal, I think GW and your opponent is going to be quite okay with you doing that. Because talking about commanders...
Oh, and you can't take special characters from that set, so you lose Farsight.
Who is pretty good. But talking about commanders, and this is where I'm getting... From my, friends and online, there has been some hate for this book. And I get it. People always are going to... The same thing when Grey Knights came out and all these things. People always, who don't play that army, are going to hate it. And people that do play the army are going to be like, no, it's completely fine. And then you get some people who are like, this might need an FAQ in a few weeks or months. One thing I disagree with, but I don't know if they're ever going to take it away, is this Cold Star or Enforcer, super badass, one of the best combat characters in the game, who can have 3-inch charges on turn 1 and can handily take out a lot of different things. You give him that relic with the Onager Gauntlet, you give him that lovely flamer you can use in combat. Precision of the Hunter is a Warlord trait, reroll all hits and wounds, and then, just comes in and kills everything he touches. Do you think...
He's staying.
You think he's staying? You're going to make a claim, he ain't going anywhere?
Yeah, because I'll tell you why. They took away, and this is like... I suppose this is not blowing my own trumpet, so I'm sorry if I sound pretentious, but they took away one of the most powerful combinations that I had for the combat phase. And if people have been asking me, well, how are you pulling off like victories? What were you doing? How are you dealing with this? I'd answer charge phase. Because in the Psychic Awakening, you had a stratagem where for 1 CP in the charge phase, you select a unit within 1 inch of every crisis suit, and you can choose what you put it on. On a 3+, you take a mortal wound.
Mm.
So someone's like, oh, you can't kill Kitans, or you can't kill Gazgul. I'd be like, yes, I can. I'll take 3 wounds in the shooting phase. I'll spend my 1 CP when I charge them, do 3 mortal wounds minimum, because it's on a 3+, and you've got a unit 9.
Yep.
Okay? And then I'll also spend 1 CP in the combat phase for Sworn Bodyguards, where if I'm within 3 inches of a commander, I can reroll all hits and wounds. And the Crisis Veteran cadre was on Weapon Skill 4 BS3. So you're suddenly having 27 attacks, hitting on 4s, rerolling everything, Strength 5, AP 1 in combat, because ATS applied to combat, rerolling everything. So this big unit of mine was like, okay, I can shoot you to hell, I can combat you as well, and I can do multiple into the charge phase.
Yeah.
They've got rid of that. So no more charging shenanigans with Tau. Giving us one guy who's got the Iron Man in his massive suit.
Just unloading on people. Just
yeah, cool. Go for it, bro. Absolutely fine. No problem.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I hope GW hear me, and they will never. But I've never understood why we don't get a crisis suit unit, and maybe this will be a new unit comes out with like an Army of Renowned or like the far side, because like there are some things in this book that allude to other things coming, like having more attacks or +1 to your attack, and you're like, but there's nothing else in the book that wants me to do this with crisis suits. Why on earth would I be an attack? And then you think fusion blades are gone from this book as well, and we see those in artwork, and I do kind of wonder if in the future we might get this melee crisis suit unit or loadout, and I think it would be great.
You're going to get it. The thing is, immediately, I think the one thing that I looked for in this book when it first came out was I went straight to the Farsight stuff. And they got rid of all the Psychic Awakening fluff, all of that. I was like, oh, man. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to do a Army of Renown, a Farsight Enclaves, extra book. And I'm calling it now. It'll have, like what you said, it'll have bringing these unique abilities and these relics. And come on, they can't just nuke the 8. Like, that is a part of the Farsight Enclave's command structure. So they're going to bring it out, but they're going to do what GW do. And, hats off to them. They've done more for the hobby in the last 3 years than they ever have done in the past. So let them do it. And you know what? It'd be good, because what it'll enable us to do is that it'll be almost a reaction to the new books that come out after us, like Eldar and stuff like that. So it'll give us an extra leg up when we maybe kind of hit a bit of a downfall when Eldar take the show.
That's it.
Yeah, which is going to happen. So, yeah, look, Farsight Enclaves, it's not over yet. There's going to be more, but the 3 most powerful septs in this book is Tau Sept, Farsight Enclaves, and Borkan. Those are the 3 ones that you're going to see a lot initially. For those heroes that love Croot, Daleth Sept.
I looked at Croot and I was just like, yeah, you're 6 points. That's nice. But I'd rather do other things. I'd much rather just put breaches into. You're going to be taking Croot? Is this the secret tech where you're like, I'm going to take some Croot and I'm going to push him out?
No.
I have a mate who basically decided to, said to me, like, look, I get bored with armies and I want to have an army that I'll enjoy. So he decided I want a Croot army.
I've got some. If you want some models, I'm pretty sure I've got 60 Croot somewhere.
Well, the guy put up a post on, all the Warhammer ones. Was like, yeah, I'll buy a Croot for £1, all that kind of stuff. He's now got his list is this: it's Daleth Sept, 2 Ethereals, 3 Croot Shapers, 240 Croot, 36 Croot Hounds, and 9 Croot Ox. It comes to a total of 1,996 points. So. You say, oh yeah, Croot, but they're still Croot, right? Yeah, but the Daleth Sept allows them to have it always in cover, so they're on a 4 up in the open. They've got Warlord traits that give them 3d6, take away one of the dice charges. They've got a stratagem that gives them, a relic that gives all Croot units, so that's all of the army, +1 attack and +1 strength for 1 whole turn. And then you've got an ethereal power giving them +1 to wound on a unit. So basically what you can have is you can have 60 Croot attacks, wounding a knight on 4s at AP 1.
Okay. That's
Croot army goes first, and Croot army pre-game moves 7 inches. So my mate and I are going to have a game where I'm going to see if he can win the game just by not shooting, not doing any attacks, still being allowed to charge and just swarm all the objectives for 5 turns.
Might work. until you play your 1 CP strat where you get to shoot all of your pistols in combat, and for some reason your guys fire their shotgun pistols and then also remember they have a pistol on their hip and they're like, yay, I'm gonna. This is
Croot, man. What about Croot, bro? I honestly
if we have to list tailor, if we have to if Croot become the meta and you've got a list tailor for Croot, then I think that GW deserves a medal, and I will personally buy your friend a beer if
he wanted to build this army. He said, "Look, I don't want it to be competitive."
And this is the funny part of it. He's like, "I don't want it to be competitive," because he was designing it before the Codex came out.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I should go to tournaments, bro, and do 0 and 5." And I was like, "Right." He was like, "I just want to have a laugh." And now it's actually kind of competitive. He's like, "Oh, for God's sake!"
Oh God, I'm a meta chaser. And I didn't even want to be.
Oh no, he's now got guys messaging him being like, "Oh, tell me more about this Croot army." He's like, "Oh,
just leave me alone."
Should we talk about some of the other units in the data sheet?
Tell me some of the units that really stand out for you. Either it's really bad or really good.
You've given me loads already talking about, Devilfish, crisis suits. I know I'm going to change my list. The Lantern is coming out of my list, and I'm going to be that's gone. He's now he's going to be in a Devilfish now with these guys because that seems really, really good. This is it. This video will never get to live service. This was me getting my little bit of one-on-one. This is all I've done, really. I created a YouTube channel just so I can get to pick your brain a little bit. But yeah, what unit? What is the unit that steps out for you?
Vespid.
Vespids.
Vespid are a perfect unit to take in a unit of 6 for 72 points, and they automatically do your R&D. And they've got natural deep strike, and they're on a 25 mil base, so you can fit them in anywhere you want. Now, if the opponent's stringing out to block them, cool, you get to shoot them. Perfect for secondaries, but also if they don't deal with them, they're also helping you with engagement all fronts. And then their guns, oh my god. Assault 2, 18-inch range, strength 5, AP 3, damage 2. Okay, I'll take that.
I guess I'll just kill Marines for fun then.
Yeah, that for me is probably one of the most powerful units in this codex from where it was to where it is now. And it's got utility, it's got movement, the movement 14, and it's also got, like I said, the damage output of the guns. So that for me is an auto tick. If you're not taking at least 1 unit of 6 or 2, your list needs to be redesigned. The other unit that I'm going to choose on the same 2 pages is broadsides.
Oh, this unit.
So talking some of the benefits, okay, look, they've gone up to 8 wounds, that's great, and they're still on the 2-up save. Their heavy rail rifle is what it used to be in terms of the Magna rail rifles, the relic. So basically strength 9, AP 4, damage 3 plus 3, D3 plus 3, and every wound you take a mortal. So you got 2 shots each. So potentially if you're 100% efficient, you've got 6 mortals there, and you've got damage D3 plus 3. Now, what makes them definitely a meta choice for me is the fact that they've got the infantry keyword.
Yeah.
So they can move through ruins. They can also use traits like defensible, so they can stand the ground, have +1 to Overwatch, hitting on 5s. You can give them early warning override, which allows them to count the Overwatch for free for the whole unit once per game. You can have one dude that does it automatically at hitting on 5s. So the broadsides are so durable, and the fact they also benefit from cover saves as well. So they're on a 1-up in cover. They can take shield drones. So if you're taking a unit of 3, you're taking with rail rifles, you're taking with SMS. My favorite is still the stabilizing optics, so they can move and shoot without penalty.
Really?
Yes. Now, at the moment, I think having that is great in case you go Kion. Now, I know Kion's not got the love that it needs because most people are monk this, monk that. But when I'm choosing whether I want to do Monka or Kion, I'm not doing it against the army that I'm going against. I'm doing it against the player.
Okay.
So if I know that I'm going against an experienced player, and I can usually tell that straight away from how they pick the secondaries, I might choose to play a cagier game and take Kion to spend the first 2 turns doing my actions, and they'll do the same, and then the turns 3, 4, and 5 are the damage side of the game. Now, I know people saying, look, the game is won in turns 1 to 3, and it is. But that's only when people make mistakes. It's only when people leave gaps in their deployment. For example, if you're both at the same level and you're both playing super cagey and everybody should have had a game similar to that, one turn can decide the game. And those are the games that are like 2 or 3 points in it. So Kion could be applied to the player. And if you take stabilizing optics, you can still move around. Also, with what's going to change for broadsides is that when Eldar come out again, I'm going to straight away switch to velocity tracker again.
See, I'm already on the velocity trackers just because I think the -1 to if you're ever trying to take out a plane or anything like that, and it's got -1 to hit, I'd love having the velocity trackers against Drakari. These types of stuff, I love having the velocity trackers because I can just be like, yep, I don't have to put marker lights on you. I'm just hitting you on 3s. Or if you've got a marker light, velocity tracker, I don't care if you're lightning fast, I'm still hitting you on 3s. But I can definitely see what you mean, and I'm very honest with how I normally do it. At 5-round tournaments, I'm like a 3 and 2, 2 and 3. I'm on that cusp. When I was playing Space Wolves, hopefully we can get a little bit better. But for me, that Monkar, the kind of players I was generally playing out, there's going to be that opening of that thing. It's quite interesting to know that next level, your 4 and 1, 5 and 0 players like yourself, that the idea that actually Calion's probably better at the higher tables because we both know that there's going to be very few, your opponent's not going to give you the turn 1, here's 3 Devilfish, get out, take 400, 500 points to your most valuable units. It's quite interesting that you're already like, yeah, that's unlikely to happen. So let me just.
You touched on it before, and I forgot to jump on it, where you basically just talked about the infiltration units.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell everybody who doesn't play Tau how to beat Tau, and in reverse, obviously, I'm telling Tau players how to not fall for this trap. So it's a kind of win-win. Is that you imagine Dawn of War? You're going to roll off, attacker or defender roll. Now, let's say you both have a unit of infiltrators. Tau will have stealth suits. A marine player will have infiltrators.
Yeah.
So usually you'll have enough terrain on each side to kind of be around an objective and have obscuring terrain. Now, what you would do normally going against Tau, because they're not that aggressive in the last edition, you would have your even split force of 50-50, maybe a unit in the middle that can branch out. If you do that against Tau now, we'll just go down one flank, destroy that flank, and then the game's over. We've won. You're spending the rest of your game retaliating, and you can't push to the midfield.
And then our broadsides are hammering you. Yeah.
Yeah, is that a clever player will go, okay, so you place your infiltrators 17.1 away from the Tau player's deployment so that the crisis unit can't move 18 because it's movement 10 plus an 8 advance with a cold style, so they can't get that extra inch. And actually it's 2 inches because they have to be an inch away from the infiltrators. So they're not going to be able to get that reach to kind of see behind the obscuring. And then if they place them there, you're going to place your stealth suits on the other side. So that's already known to you before you're placing the rest of the units. And this is talking from, let's say, the Space Marines player perspective. So you would put a unit, a cheapest unit that you possibly can, on the other objective and say to the Tau player, look, if you want to go for it, go for it. But I've got majority, 80% of my army here in this quarter to retaliate.
Protected by this infiltrator unit that you're not going to be able to do. Yeah, also push the game into a hammer and anvil, so they'll push it towards your flank, and that's the way the game's going to go. Yeah.
So for a Tau player, it is very easy to go, here's all my stuff, bam, 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 kill. As an opponent, think about, well, look, I'm going to lose that flank either way, so I might as well just give away a cheap unit and then focus on keep. Basically, you're forcing an opponent to castle, whereas Tau doesn't need to castle anymore.
Oh God. No.
So Castle Tau, but Tau makes the opponent castle.
The anti-Tau castle is going to be the new meta. I love it.
And that's going to be the shift in what I see in the Tau gameplay and the opponents then reacting to how Tau players play. And that's the counteract to playing against Tau. Make sure that you're not giving them half your army for free by being naive to think that they can't come at you. Because just to paint a picture, my list, on one flank, I'll come at you potentially with 30 breachers, 3 Devilfish, 2 units of 5 crisis suits, and a commander or 2.
Maybe.
You know, and if things go really well, homing beacon on that stealth suit, you know, let's bring another guy in from deep strike, have full rerolls, because, you know, that's what, you know, you get to do when you're fight. Oh, just going to be beautiful. That might not be what everyone else thinks, but...
And the one last thing I'll give away in terms of something that you should definitely consider as a warlord trait is that you're obviously going to, if you're going Farsight, you'll take Farsight himself. And he has an example of Montcar.
Why are you 100% going to be taking Commander Farsight?
He's a beast. He's 5 attack strength, 10 AP 4, flat 3 damage. Or you can do double attacks at 10 attack strength, 6 AP 2, 1 damage. Yes, please. And he also counts as an XV8. So you can pick a unit and go, just do what you want, bro. You can move, you can advance, you can shoot without penalty, you can fall back and still charge as well. Oh, and also, by the way, do you need a little bit of extra assistance in combat? Have +1 to hit.
There you go. Enjoy yourselves.
I'm 130 points. So yeah, that's why I'm taking Farsight. But taking the exemplar of Kion on a Fireblade, just so you could go, here's my unit of 3 stealth suits 9 inches away or 12 inches away from your deployment zone. Cool. Right, I go first. Brilliant. Homing beacon. Crisis unit comes down. Oh, I don't go first. Okay, I'll pull them away.
And then if you're taking Cao Yon as well, because you're playing at that level, you can be like, I'm going to move 3 things, and I'm going to, you know, and what I was saying, this book is... There is a lot of raw power in this book, but that's not where I think this book wins. Like the Storm Surge we haven't been able to talk about is raw power, but there's not much that synergizes with that raw power. It's still great, but there's not much. There's not much thing. You know, the Riptides, lots of quite good raw power, quite durable, quite expensive, but quite durable with a 5-up Feel No Pain if that's where you're going to go. But once again, the reason they miss and they're not meta is because the book doesn't. You know, it hasn't got 3 stratagems for it. Whereas your broadsides, your crisis suits, your breaches, all of these stuff, there's so many stratagems in here, this toolbox of a codex that is just like, what, you know, like I said, they took some of the things away, but it's like, hey, you're in a bad situation. I promise you there's a 1 CP stratagem in this book that gets you out of that situation. Kyle, you've been absolutely amazing. I hope I get to play against you. I know I'll lose, but at least you'll see almost a mirror match. You know, I might even try and take some of the Tau. I might be nice and try and take some of the Tau secondaries just to show you that I'm not taking it as seriously as I could. They are terrible. Don't take them. Take them in your fun games. Take them in your fun games. Kyle, tell us what you are. Obviously, you're amazing in the not just the Tau community, but the 40k community. Please, you've done Meta or Miss. You've massively done all this. Please take 2 minutes and tell us what you've got going on. What can the people out there look forward to, other than you winning another ITC championship with Tau? You know, what is going on? What can we look out for?
Right, okay, so the couple of things I've got going, like, first off, obviously, like, there's going to be a lot more competition with the top Tau, and I'm looking forward to seeing some new and upcoming players come up against me and be like, look, I'm going to beat you, I want that, it's going to be great. But what I've got planned is to help people get to that kind of competitive level. I'm doing a post on the main Tau competitive Facebook page. It's the one with 14,000 followers on it, and it also has a picture of Commander Farsight with Unvar in the background looking disappointed. That's the one to look out for. But now the reason I'm doing this is, one, to give back to a little bit of the community, because I know a lot of Tau players either got disheartened last edition and they're a bit rusty and they want to they want to go to tournaments, they want to enjoy, and they want to actually do well. and they want to kind of use the army that they love. So I'm doing it for that reason, because I really do love the community. I love the kind of going to tournaments and just meeting new people, making friends, and losing some as well, potentially, with rolling, really good dice and just smashing people with Tau. But look, that's the kind of thing I'm doing. So over on the Facebook page, to Tau competitive page on the 15th, and that's pretty much what I've got planned, apart from going to all of the majors in the UK, and I'll be going definitely to a few American tournaments as well. So I will be hitting the competitive scene hard. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for having me on. And hopefully it's been useful to both yourself and any listeners as well out there that are hopeful about their new Tau endeavors and using our brand new spanking sexy codex.
Woo! Go Tau for the greater good. Well, I am STillAGeek. Once again, thank you so much, Carl, for coming on for the first episode of Meta or Miss. I think the Codex in general is obviously very meta. It's got very few misses in it. I'm STillAGeek. I hope you are too. Enjoy yourselves, and if you enjoyed this content and you'd like to see more, please like, follow, subscribe, do all that weird stuff. It costs you nothing. Enjoy yourselves, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you very much, guys. See you later.